everybody, and welcome back to the stream. It's Tuesday, and you know what that means? It's time for Perpetual Motion, the class where we never stop moving. Oh man! Anybody who was with me on Friday and Saturday last week, yeah, those were intense classes. Just, in case you were going through your life and going, man, I feel really knocked out by those classes, but does that mean that I'm just not as far along as I want to be? No, they were intense classes. If you've missed my Instagram story, I definitely, after class on Saturday morning, I got into sweatpants and I played video games all day because I had no energy left. So yeah, those were solid classes. So if you were there for the live stream or did those classes off of the VODs, be proud because, yeah, that was some intense shit, man. But now we are here in a new week. Hello, welcome back, everybody. I hope you're all doing pretty well. Sorry, it's just it's not even that I'm tired, it's just that it's already dark outside, and so my brain is just going, oh, it's sleep time, right? Because it's dark outside. I'm like, well, not really, brain. It's actually teaching time. My brain's like, no, but it's dark outside. So I'm sure you know the feeling. I'm sure you all know the feeling. And it's frustrating, but we'll make it through. We'll make it through, kiddos. Whatever that ends up looking like. Oh, man. But I hope you had a good weekend and a good Monday. I always this is the start to my week, obviously, but for anybody on a more normalized work schedule, your work week started yesterday. So hopefully the beginning of your week has gone well. We are here. The electors have officially done their thing. It is honestly, I think, the most fascinating thing about going through this election cycle is the fact that there is so much about the process of elections, particularly the presidential ones, that I just didn't know, I knew Electoral College, obviously, everybody knows that, but I had no idea that they waited an entire friggin' month after the votes were cast to do this last component of the process, and I'm just like, oh my God, you can tell that this is a voting system that was designed in frickin', 17 and 1800s and has not been updated for modern times. So it's on the one hand, I'm glad I know more, but on the other hand, I'm like, why did we have to wait? We knew oh my God. Anyway, it's just another component of the year that feels like it will never end. Yeah, it's obviously kind of terrifying how little most of us know about these processes that govern our lives. So, if 2020 does nothing else, I very much hope that it leads all of us to learn more about the political process, about the election process at all levels, state and federal, so that we can know what the hell is going on and make more informed choices. That's my goal anyway. So yeah, oh my God, what a friggin', it's been well over a month since votes were cast. How did we even get there? My friends? Thankfully, we've gotten here in front of the stream ready for perpetual motion. So if you are new to the stream, welcome. Today is our perpetual motion class, which means that usually when you finish workout timer cycle, you get to stop, stand, rest, drink some water. In today's class, when the end of a cycle happens and the timer goes off, we go into what is called an active rest exercise. I use cross jacks. So it's an exercise that we're not like pushing ourselves for intensity, but it's designed to keep us moving. So we will, from the point that we start the warm-up to the end of class, we will be moving that entire time. Well, I won't because I'll be teaching, but you will be moving the entire time, okay? And I'll remind you whenever we head out of an exercise cycle, I will remind you to get back into those cross jacks and to stay there. So just keep that in mind. You're going to have to manage your energy. This is a class that is far more like a half marathon than it is a sprint. So approach it accordingly. Also, if this is your first class, always remember that what I want from you is not 120%. What I want from you is the bare minimum, and that consists of 3 things: starting on time, stopping on time, and doing the exercise correctly, okay? So if you can just give me those 3 things, you will get an incredible workout, okay? And then as you get more used to class, as you keep coming back, then you can start to ramp up. But if you try and give it 120% today, you're going to traumatize yourself, and then you won't want to come back. And that does neither of us any good, okay? So bare minimum, starting on time, stopping on time, doing the exercise correctly. Awesome. Pre-class checklist. I am washing my usual mason jar. So today I have my Assassin's Creed pint glass that a very dear friend of mine gave me for a Christmas gift, I think, a few years ago. So whatever vessel you have, make sure it's filled with water and that you are drinking that water throughout class. Good idea to move your water right now to somewhere where it will be in arm's reach of you in a standing position, okay? So that you're not trying to like lean over and keep moving and lift and try and drink, and it's just too many components, okay? So you got your water, you got your comfy clothes on, you got your mat or mat-sized space on the floor, and if you use a fitness wearable, now is the time to turn them on to high-intensity interval training or a related setting, all right? Oh, man. I'm so excited. The weeks when I actually plan out all of the classes ahead of time, and I'm just like, I had nothing to do in the lead up to class. I had to set up the lights, which is kind of brainless, but like, look at that. Thanks, past me. What a gift you've given me. Will this be an intense class? Ooh, yeah, probably. See, that's the problem with me setting class so far in advance, is I don't remember what I did, but I do remember what we're about to do, which is our warm-up, our 16-minute warm-up, same warm-up that we do in all of the classes, which is nice, provides a nice through line, gives you something to really focus on as you're starting your journey here. And so that is what we're going to start with. I've got that on. All right, so everybody making your way to your mats, just keeping in mind that as soon as we start moving for the warm-up, we are officially moving for the rest of class. So on your mats, on your backs, 1 foot crossed over the opposite knee, and as soon as you hear that horn, we will begin with our hip rocks and bridges. Hiya! All right. Oh, man. So let us remember, particularly today, particularly on a day when we are going to be moving the whole time, we do not want to be starting the warm-up out at 100% energy usage, okay? This is a boot up sequence. We are turning on all of the systems that our body needs to use in order to exercise like this, okay? And so that means letting our brains know that they have to start sending appropriate signals down to our muscle fibers to get them activated. Letting our muscles know that they need to kick off the energy systems, breaking down fuel sources so that we have enough energy at our disposal that we can make it through class. All right, we have switched feet, my friends. So, yeah, so you don't want to be going immediately for 100% because your body hasn't even had the chance to start breaking down fuel sources and getting them ready to be converted into energy. All right, so if you just blast through the warm-up super intensely, you get to the end and you've used up all of the available energy that you had, and your body hasn't been able to keep up with production, and you still have 45 minutes left of class and you have to move the entire time. You know, it's just not, it's not pretty. So always make sure to remind yourself that we're not going for maximum here, okay? We're not going for maximum at any point in the warm-up, honestly. Obviously, the warm-up is structured deliberately. The exercises that we move through, when we move through them, all of that is really deliberate. But even in the final section, which is our cardio exercise section, we are still not ramped to 100% energy output, okay? We're still finalizing the boot up sequence. So it's just a good thing to remind ourselves of because, you know, I think it's easier for people who are new to class to be like, oh, well, yeah, obviously I'm not going to be trying to go for 100% energy output right now because I don't even know what's going on. But then you hit that sort of, I call it the sophomore period. You know, if you went to college and you have that memory of not freshman year, you know, when everything was new and you were still getting the lay of the land and trying to figure everything out, but sophomore year, when you're like, okay, cool, I know everything now. And we have those periods in a lot of things, you know, the period where we know just enough to be dangerous. And what that can look like with our fitness programs is feeling confident in the warm-up, knowing the exercises, knowing the structure of class, and being like, all right, now it's time to really kick it off more intensely, and, you know, going into that warm-up, using up all that energy, and then suddenly not having anything left for the rest of class. So if you are in that sophomore period of your attendance here in class, I want to remind you to take a step back, okay? Like, look, I'm doing the whole warm-up with you, and you can tell that I am not going for 100% intensity. This is not, you know, I could be lifting my leg way up there. I could be going for real consistency and speed in these leg lifts, and I'm not, okay? I am just trying to move enough, to engage enough musculature that my body starts turning the lights on, as it were, turning the really complex Rube Goldberg machine on so that we can do this wild and wacky class of ours. So, all right, we are on our second side of leg exercises, so hopefully you you were able to follow along, or you know the warm-up well enough that you didn't need me describing where we were. But yes, we are on side 2 of our leg exercises. So we are back to the Jane Fonda, making sure that our body is in a nice straight line, engaging that core so that we can stay balanced on that hip. Otherwise, our hips are going to want to roll, okay? Because balancing on the side of a ball and socket joint is not the most stable position to be in. And then we're just lifting that leg. I've got the foot somewhere between a neutral position and a flexed position, so whatever makes you most comfortable. Now we've got that top foot flat on the floor in front of the bottom knee, and we're lifting that bottom leg, okay? So remember that the aspirational position is we want that knee straight up and down, pointing up at the ceiling and pointing over the feet. We don't want it caving forward like this. Now, if you're having trouble with that, this is a great place to practice engaging the musculature in your hip to pull that knee back, okay? It's a great place to practice that because we're not putting weight on this leg, so if the knee is caving forward, it's not a huge deal, okay? But we want to get ready for when we're standing, when we're doing squats, when we're doing lunges, that kind of a thing. So always take this opportunity here in the leg sequence to practice that knee position and to really try and go, okay, I don't have the hip flexibility to just sort of set it and forget it, so I need to engage those hip muscles to pull that knee back and into that safe position. Of course, our beach position here, our third and final position in this leg sequence, is pretty chill. You know, we're not worried about the knee caving forward. It can stay right here forever without feeling a desire to cave one direction or another. And we're not worried about balancing because we're just offset enough on our hip that we're no longer on that unstable part of the joint. So we're just chilling. Do. All right. Now, moving into our scorpion twists. Oh, occasionally you will give yourself nice little amateur chiropractic adjustments. So, yeah, take the opportunity to appreciate that. I know I always do. And then take the opportunity to make sure that your elbows are planted on the floor, okay? They are glued to the floor. So this is gonna really show you where your flexibility actually is in your spinal column, okay? So if you are trying to do this twist and you're like, oh cool, I can get here with my knee pointing up towards the ceiling, all the way back here, foot flat on the floor, all I have to do is lift this elbow, then you cannot, in fact, hit that position yet, and you need to not go that far, all right? Now we stand, and possibly adjust clothing. You know, I don't go shopping that frequently, and so all of my exercise clothing is, you know, some of these items may be a decade or more old, which, when we're talking about spandex fabrics, has an impact, you know. So sometimes when I'm changing planes, as it were, I end up having to do some adjustments to everything, which is perfectly natural. Oh man. All right, my friends, we're doing our nice big torso rotations and now heading into our squats. So we're holding an imaginary PVC pipe above our heads, okay? And so we're just keeping our arms here in the same relation the whole time, and then just doing this squat. So I've got my feet about shoulder width, maybe even a little wider. But here's the time for us to check in on our knee positioning, okay? So you want your knees to be going straight over the feet the whole time, okay? Not caving in towards each other. So if your knees are caving in towards each other at any point in that, then narrow your stance, all right? Test that out and be like, okay, I can maintain this. I'll practice here for as long as I need to until I feel confident that I can widen the stance back out. And now we head into our Samson stretches. Oh yeah, nice big stretch. So this is really focusing in on the front of the hip flexor. So the leg that's going back, we're getting into this stretch, and this is where you should really be feeling the stretch, all right? And then stepping forward and other side. Make sure that your hips are staying pointed forward the whole time, not opening out, okay? This would be like a warrior two in a yoga class. I don't want that. I want hips pointing forward in line with one another the whole time, even when I have that leg all the way extended behind me, okay? All right, now we come down to our wide squat, which is a held position. My hands on my knees help to keep them in that nice, safe form right over the feet, and then the only things moving are my shoulders, okay? So I twist first one shoulder in towards the midline, and then the other, and I just go back and forth. So where our scorpion twists, we're really focused on the lower to mid back. This is getting that twist in the upper back, all right? So we're just sort of finishing out the sequence, stretching out hips and backs before moving into the final section of our warm-up, which is cardio. Yeah, so we start with our jumping jacks. And again, we already talked about this, but just because we're doing cardio does not mean that we're suddenly going, 120%. So you can see that I'm doing a really small, easy version of jumping jacks. I'm not fully extending my arms. I'm not doing huge jumps. I'm just, again, bare minimuming, really. So just enough to get my heart rate going a little bit faster, get my breathing coming a little bit faster. And as we've been doing through the whole warm-up, just boot up that last system or cardiovascular system and prep it for the rest of class, okay? So that's our focus. All right, kick throughs. So if this is a new exercise, slow and steady. On the standing, arm, shoulder as close to over the wrist as possible. Standing leg, 90-degree angle, knee pointing up towards the ceiling, not caving forward, not sinking your butt down towards the floor. And kick that leg across, and then come through the center and go to the other side. Quick note, because this is a common mistake, we're not setting ourselves up with our hands and feet super far away from one another, okay? We are setting ourselves up with our hands and feet pretty close together so that I can have my shoulder directly over my wrist, so that I can have my standing leg at this 90-degree angle, okay? So if you've been extending out for that exercise, just know that's not right. All right, we are finishing up with our burpees. Got a nice wave push-up. And we are keeping those elbows right in by the sides as we do the push-up, and then a big victory clap up at the top at that jump. And when the horn goes off for the final time, again, we don't stop moving. We instead go into our cross jacks. And I will demonstrate that as soon as it becomes relevant. So keep doing your burpees, and as soon as you hear that horn, cross jacks. So they're basically a cousin of jumping jacks. Just jump feet out, in, 1 foot crossed in front of the other, out, in, switch which foot's in front, okay? You can also modify. You can do the arms, but just kick the feet forward, or you can go back and forth like that, whatever feels right. All right. But make sure you're getting water, okay? Just because we're moving for the entirety of class does not mean that we're not still drinking water. Okay. Woo. So, good warm up. Everybody feeling pumped, still moving, you know, so getting settled in to motion, to continuing to move. If you've run any sort of a race, 5K, 10K, half marathon, full, what have you, then you know what you need to be doing. Sorry, the yawning will continue until it's no longer winter. You know what you need to be doing. You know that you need to be aware of how much energy you are using and how much energy you're saving. So this is just the class-based version of that, all right? So our first set is going to be a perpetual motion set with 1 minute work intervals, but we only have 2 exercises, and we're just going back and forth between them, okay? So first exercise is going to be our alternating 1-leg squat. So we take this nice wide position, feet turned out, and then bend one knee, bring myself all the way down. So this foot's flat on the floor, knee is over the foot, other leg fully extended. And then stand up and other side. And we just go back and forth. Engaging the core, we don't want to be hunching over. Try and maintain more of a flat back, okay? And then second exercise is TikToks. So up in this pike, arms extended, hands together, and to one side of your knees. Extend your body out just far enough that you can get the arms to the other side. And then up, 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 and up. All right? And we just go back and forth between those two. So everybody cross jack back onto your mats. And as soon as you hear the horn, you will begin with the alternating 1-leg squats. I don't have a better name for these, and I wish that I did. Like, they're not pistol squats, so I thought about, you know, like alternating pistol squats, but that's not really what these are. And I figured that that would be more confusing than helpful in terms of a naming convention. Woo! I'm losing my balance here. But that must be why I'm losing my balance, because these dang puzzle pieces just, oh, so frustrating. That's really what I want to get myself for Christmas, is a mat, a thicker mat that I can have in the middle of my setup that that doesn't pull apart when I'm doing exercises like this, because that's frustrating. All right, TikTok time. And remember, so when we talk about starting on time for a perpetual motion class or a perpetual motion set, it looks very different from starting on time for a Tabata, okay? Because with a Tabata, you are starting from a rest and you get a nice warning of when the next horn is going to go, so you get to just get into position and get ready and go. But with perpetual motion, you have to keep doing the exercise until you hear the horn and then start the next exercise without a break. So what we try to work on is minimizing the amount of time that it takes you to get from the exercise you are currently doing to the exercise that you need to begin doing, okay? So that's what you should focus on. And, you know, you're gonna have the opportunity to try that a bunch of times for each sequence. Like, you're going through 8 total repetitions here. So for each exercise, you will have 4 opportunities to figure out how to quickly get from one to the other. You also have to keep in mind that you may be in a totally different position when the horn goes each time. And so you don't, for most exercises, you don't just get to figure out, okay, well, I go from here into here because this is where I always am. You have to figure out, okay, well, how does it look if I am all the way down on the right side? How does it look if I'm standing all the way up? How does it look if I'm all the way down on the left side? How does it look if I'm in that midway point, if I'm pushing upwards? How does it look if I'm in the process of lowering, okay? Those will all require different approaches to getting from the current exercise into the next exercise. So always keep that in mind. Keep in mind that you are going to be changing from different places for most exercises. Some exercises, it's like, well, there's really not such a big variation in where I am physically in space that I really need to worry about it. And that's always a really nice opportunity. You know, almost a break. Like, I would probably put the TikToks in there. You're never going to be in such a different position in the TikToks that it changes that much about how you would then get up into these one-leg squats. But with the one-leg squats, you can be in very, very different positions depending on where you are in the exercise. And so you really have to plan accordingly. Oh, you also need to really pay attention to the surface you're on. For something like this, where our position is so wide, there is a lot of opportunity for slipping on mats, legs pulling away from one another, and that sort of thing. So you have to always be conscious of what is the surface I'm on, how much traction do my feet have on it, does it have movable components that are going to pull away, like my setup does. You know, I have these puzzle pieces, and so when I do those big squats, well, at the end of it, my puzzle piece is not really connected anymore, and without the extra mat on top, I would basically just be entirely sliding in 2 different directions. So it's just, you know, these are a lot of things that you need to learn how to keep an eye on. For safety, first of all, you know, you don't want to be skipping along merrily and completely unconscious to your surroundings because, well, that's how we set ourselves up for injury. We don't like injuries. Injuries are no fun. So, yeah, whenever, particularly too, if you're in a new space or you're trying a new type of class, really focus in on spatial awareness. Where am I? What's next to me? What is under me? What other people are around? What other equipment is around? What might I knock into? Okay? And just start to learn all of these things. Will make you safer in the space. And once you work that information a little more into unconscious processing, you can then sort of let it alone, stop focusing quite so deliberately on it, and focus back in on the exercises that you're doing, knowing that you're starting from a solid foundation, that you're starting from a foundation of good form and of awareness of what's around you, of the space that you're in. And right now, we're all in our homes, we're in our living rooms, bedrooms, you know, maybe a finished basement, but that means that we are absolutely in spaces that are not designed for exercise. So we need to be particularly aware of what's around us. All right, up and immediately back into our cross jacks, okay? So don't stop moving. Do get water. Do make sure to grab your water, but do not stop moving for it, okay? Just like if you're running a road race, you have to know how to drink water while moving and bouncing up and down, basically, okay? Oh yeah. All right. I am going to give us our next set. And it's going to be simpler, honestly. Another 8-minute set, 2 exercises, but it's really going to be just one. And we'll do side 1 and side 2. So it's going to be intense. It's going to be intense, but you can absolutely do it. And the intensity will be on first one side and then the other. So you will get recovery time as you do the opposite side. So it's not like when you go into the second side, you're still using that same muscle group. But enough psyching you out. The exercise is going to be side planks from the elbow. Okay? So we are going to come out here to the side. I want my shoulder over my elbow. So I've got a nice perpendicular line between my upper arm and the floor. And I want that shoulder engaged and stable. So I don't want to be sinking down like this, where my shoulder is suddenly like up by my ear. I want nice space, nice distance between my shoulder and my ear. Legs extended out, and we just lift those hips up. Other arm extends up to the ceiling. You can look up towards it if you want to, and we just hold there. And then we do the same thing on the other side. Alrighty? So, same thing. We switch back and forth, 1-minute work intervals, side planks, not two side planks, different exercise. All right, so you're doing your cross jacks. You are not on the floor yet. Cross jacks, and now you've heard the horn, and you come down and get into position. So again, talking about how we don't get that opportunity to sort of prep our positioning beforehand, right? Because we're coming from cross jacks. So I have to know how to get from a standing up, jumping exercise down to a one-armed held position in a minimum of time. It's always more complex when you are shifting planes, okay? When you're shifting from the floor to a standing position. That's going to be more complex than switching from side to side here, okay? Here, you're going to see me do more movement than you need to do, okay? I'm trying to keep myself pointed towards the camera, so I'm sort of awkwardly swinging myself around. You don't have to do that. You can roll over your back, roll over your front, and just be in that position right there. So you can minimize even more than I can, all right? It's always going to be taking me a little bit of extra time. But that's another thing to keep in mind when you're figuring out how to get from one exercise to the next exercise. Remember that I am not always doing that transition in the most efficient way because I've got the camera. I'm trying to keep pointed at it. I'm trying to make sure that you can still see me and hear me and, you know what's going on, okay? So don't look to me as the be-all and end-all of how to best move from one exercise to the next, because I am not always doing it in the most efficient way, because I have additional criteria that I need to meet that you don't have to meet. You know, you're not concerned if you're facing the camera or not. And for something like this, where we're doing the same thing on both sides, you're really not needing to be facing, you're not even needing to see the stream that frequently, you know, because you know what you're about. It's the same thing on the left side as it is on the right side, and vice versa. So just keep that in mind. It's the same thing I talk about for starting on time, and just reminding you that the timer is the thing to go with and not me, because I will get caught up in talking, you know, I'll be going down a conversational tangent, or I'll just flat out forget to say something. But you need to still have switched to the next exercise. So always keep that in mind as well, that in terms of who is the arbiter of starting on time, it's not actually me, it's the timer. I mean, it's me through the timer, because I decide which timer goes on. But once it's going, that is what you listen to for your cue in terms of when to switch from side to side. All right? So just keeping that in mind. As always, you are now halfway through. And so we are going back to that first side. So we need to check in on our form, yeah? Because we want our form to be just as good by the third and fourth times through as it was in the first time through. So we don't want our hips sinking down towards the floor. We don't want our shoulder sinking upwards, okay? We still want that nice solid engagement and pulling up. We don't want to be sinking down like that. So things that you can do to help that along. Visualize that you have a string attached to your hip going all the way up into the ceiling. It's pulling upwards and it's pulling your hip along with it, okay? You can do the same thing with that arm, that extended arm, all right? So I've got a string attached to my fingertips, pulling them up towards the ceiling, and pull, just like that string on my hip is pulling my hip up towards the ceiling. And if I'm visualizing that, that helps to remind me to keep the engagement and the strength in my shoulder, because I'm being pulled upward, not being allowed to sink back down, right? So these are just tricks that can help make these positions easier. It is intense to do held positions like this for full minute intervals, and you're doing this 8 times, all right? So pat yourself on the back, because you're awesome, but also make sure that you are using all of the tricks at your disposal to make it easier, okay? Including remembering to breathe. Because boy howdy, do we like to not breathe when we're doing held positions. But you have to breathe because your muscles are still working. Just because we're not moving does not mean that our muscles are not working, okay? We've got concentric muscle actions, which is a contraction of the muscle fibers, eccentric muscle actions, which is a lengthening of the muscle fibers, and then isometric. See, my brain's gone a little mushy. But that is where the muscle is engaged, it is activated, but it can't really go in either direction. It can't fully contract, it can't fully extend. So it's engaged and working, but in this held position. But that's still work, okay? And it still needs that oxygen. And if you're getting into these held positions and going, okay, well, I don't want to do anything that, pushes me out of this position, so I'm going to hold my breath, then suddenly your muscles are like, well, crap, we have nothing coming through to help us break down ATP into an energy source that we can use. So we're just getting real tired, and suddenly you don't have enough energy left to do the rest of class. So always remember to keep breathing. And now stand back up and back into your cross jacks, okay? Or one of the modifications, kicking the feet forward, side to side, what have you, okay? Woo. That was intense. That was real intense. Man. All right. Yeah, there's a reason why usually I would do a third exercise. I wanted to challenge us a little bit today, but yeah, to have only 2 really intense held positions and to go for a minute each and just going back and forth between the 2 of them, that's super intense. So as you're cross-jacking and getting water, again, pat yourself on the back. Good job, okay? Now we are going to ratchet down the amount of time. Yes, love it, love it, love it. So we are now going to go into 30-second work intervals. Still perpetual motion, obviously, because that's, kind of the deal of this class. But just 30 seconds. Again, 2 exercises, going back and forth between them, okay? And the exercises this time, first we're going to do skips, our good old friends skips, a cardio exercise, but a calm enough one for perpetual motion. So literally just skipping in place on our mats, okay? So one knee comes up, opposite arm comes up, hop, and switch, and hop, all right? We're not moving around on the mat. We're literally just staying in one place, okay? And then second exercise is going to be double-legged mountain climbers. And we're going to do them with the legs jumping forward so that both knees are on either side of one elbow. Then jump back to that plank and bring the knees to either side of the other elbow. So from the front, it looks like this, okay? I've got them either side, and then jump back, jump forward, and I've switched elbows, all right? So those are our exercises. Skips and double-legged mountain climbers, all right? Just 30-second work intervals. I love it. So nice. You are going to feel the difference there, okay? From 1 full minute to half that time. All right, so we are skipping. And again, we're not going for super cardio intensity here. We're just traipsing through a meadow, having a grand old time, all right? And enjoying ourselves. Oh man, you're gonna be so excited when the horn goes and you get to switch. So as we do our double-legged mountain climbers, important for you to make sure, again, shoulder engagement. So shoulders directly over wrists, plank position, and then each time we jump back, we're still in that position. And then forward again. But we never want to let go of the shoulder because we're only there for a second, and then we're jumping back to that plank position, and our shoulders are guiding the movement of our legs forward and back. So make sure that you're keeping those shoulders engaged the whole time. That's it's another good exercise for getting a window into how your shoulder stamina is. And for many of us, it's not great because we haven't been deliberately trained to strengthen our shoulders and stabilize them, all right? They're unstable joints, and that's deliberate, and it's really useful most of the time. But when you are trying to manage weight with your arms, you don't want your shoulders to just be pulling out of their sockets each time. You want them to be able to stabilize themselves and to be able to manage the weight even if it's moving through space, okay? So good things to keep in mind as we swing back our third time through double-legged mountain climbers. Another thing to think about is when we feel bad at this exercise, we have a tendency to land and sort of bounce. Try to add a little bit of a rest in, right? So bounce, and then bounce for a second. That's not the exercise. Out, in, okay? You need to be constantly moving, alrighty? And it sucks. It sucks when you don't have that stamina. Your shoulders get tired really quickly, but that's what you're building towards, okay? All right, my friends, this is the second to last interval. So last time for these skips, which is awesome, and then you're gonna have last time for the double-legged mountain climbers, also awesome, and then you'll get to go back into everybody's favorite, our most beloved cross jacks, while you wait to hear what's coming next. There are a couple more things. I think you'll be pleased with one of the things coming down the pipeline. But for now, hey, back to cross jacks. Huzzah. There we go. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Make sure you are drinking plenty of water, okay? Always. Always. If one pint glass isn't enough to get you through class, bring multiple, okay? You're in your home. You can have as many vessels filled with water as possible, right? Because the only person in danger of knocking them over is you. So make sure that whatever you are using for water, you have enough to get yourself through class. This is why I don't usually use a pint glass, because I'm already almost done with those. Ding, ding, ding. But the other nice thing about being home is I can refill it pretty quickly. All right, so we're going to do another set. Same thing. So 30-second work intervals, 2 exercises going back and forth. And just like with the side planks, this is going to be the same exercise. First one side and then the other. So it's going to be our lunge to the knee pull. So this is a good friend of ours. So we start back here, not super sunk down like we would be in the Samson stretch, but a nice lunge. Arms forward and parallel, both of them. And stand up to that front leg, pull the knee up, and pull the elbows back. And then down, up and down, up and down. And then side 2 is the other side. So we'll just be going back and forth between those 2 exercises. Alrighty? So, cross jacks, and here we are. So, getting your core involved right away is huge, because we are moving through a lot of space here. We're going from a straight back leg lunge to balancing on one foot with the opposite knee lifted up. And we're also moving our arms. So everything is moving around. And in order to help control the movement, you want your core engaged. So you're not falling over and losing your balance. All right? I have everything under control if I start with, all right, my core muscles are working. They're stabilizing my torso so that I can move my arms without throwing things off, so that as I stand up, my torso is not wobbling around in unexpected directions, okay? So make sure that you're checking in here and going, all right, are you activated? Are you doing what you need to do to stabilize the entire movement so that I can make it all the way up into that balance and all the way back into that lunge without feeling like I'm going to lose my balance, all right? And you can see the moments when I forget to keep activating my core. When I start to get a little wobbly over here because I have lost my engagement of those stabilizing muscle groups. And the core is not the only one. The glutes and the quads on the standing leg, which is the front leg of the lunge, are also doing hugely important work, okay? So those 3 muscle groups working together are keeping all of this going safely, calmly, deliberately, without needing to stop or feeling like I'm gonna fall over or anything like that. All right? All right, second to last interval. So this is our final time through. We just have one more thing to do after this. Woo! Then you're done, done, done. Huzzah. Oh man, but what a good job. What a good job you've done. This class today, I feel like it's almost been a combination of our Saturday class and our Tuesday class, because Saturday tends to focus really heavily on strength and stamina, but Tuesday we've got the constant motion. So anyone who's used to taking both of those classes may be like, this feels like we're kind of bringing people together, bringing pieces together. All right, you're doing your cross jacks, yeah? Doing your cross jacks, getting your water. So here's the awesome news. We're doing one more set. It's going to be an AMRAP set. So that's our as many reps as possible. You may have heard it in CrossFit. I use it slightly differently. Basically, when I tell you we're doing an AMRAP set, that means I'm setting a 5-minute timer, and there won't be any intervals marked in it. There'll be one horn midway through just to be like, hey, you're midway through. And usually you have 3 different exercises that you're just cycling through over and over again at your own pace. The only criteria is that you don't get to stop moving, which you already don't get to do in this class anyway. However, today, I'm not giving you the exercises to do, okay? So you're gonna have a 5-minute set where you can, dealer's choice, whatever exercises you want to do, all right? So obviously, we've done a lot of different things already today. So if you want to use one of those, you're welcome to do that, or all of those. If you are, getting to the end of the class and going, I really want a little bit more of a cardio hit, throw in some burpees, some flying chickens, jump rope, what have you. If you're like, oh man, I really want to get some more core work in there, we got ankle reaches, we got slow leg lowers, whatever you want to do. The sky's the limit, the world is your oyster. Insert various other cliched sayings here. So, yeah. So this may be a terrifying amount of freedom, but I have confidence in you, okay? Especially if you've been taking class with me for a while. You have so many exercises at your disposal. You know what you like, what you don't like. Just think about, what do you want to end class on? What note do you want to end class on? And then go for it. So, as soon as you hear the horn, you get to switch into whatever you decide to do. And, all right, we're going, but you do not have to do the same 3 exercises over and over, okay? When I say dealer's choice, I really mean it. So, if you do 3 exercises and you're like, I don't even remember what that first one was, all right, switch to something else. That's totally fine. And just find whatever feels good. The only thing that you cannot do is stop moving until the final timer goes off. But you already knew that, right? You already knew, because you're in a class called Perpetual Motion, and words have meanings. So this is a great opportunity, though, for you to dig into specifics of exercises, what you like about them. We all have a tendency to default to certain exercises, certain movement patterns. When someone says, just do whatever you feel like it. I'm willing to bet that you're just sort of moving very, very deliberately from one exercise to another and not having to put a lot of thought into it. But what I do want you to do is, once you start an exercise, just think a little bit about, what do you like about it? What draws you to that exercise? Is it that you feel really confident when you do an exercise in this particular family, or that works a particular muscle group? Is it that you really want to be getting stronger in a certain area, so you want to push yourself to do this particular exercise so that you can feel a little stronger? You know, start to learn that. Start to learn these things about yourself. We spend a lot of time doing things and never examining why we do them, what engages us, what draws us to them, you know? And hey, there's our halfway horn. Isn't that lovely? You know, we have this tendency to think that examining things ruins the mystery, or makes things less special, which A, isn't true, and B, can lead to really unhealthy patterns of relating to ourselves and to the people around us, where we think, well, I don't want to look at this, so if I ignore it, it will go away. Or I don't want to think about why I'm having this emotional reaction to something, because if I do, then I might hurt myself or someone else. So I'm just gonna ignore it. And quite frankly, that is an approach to the world that does far more harm than good. So I want you, as you're doing these sets, as you're going along and just sort of feeling what exercises are drawing you in, I want you to very deliberately go, I wouldn't have necessarily thought that bicycles would be the thing I wanted to do here. What is it about this exercise? Well, I like how it engages my obliques. I have been really enjoying working that particular muscle group. And so that's why I started doing that. So now you have information about a muscle group you like working, an exercise you enjoy, and maybe a path forward towards some fitness goals, you know? Maybe you really want to up your core strength. Bicycles will be a great way to do that. And from there, you go, okay, what other core exercises are there that I can add into my rotation? All right? So let us all take steps to be more conscious of what we feel and why we feel it. And well done! Look at you! You made it through class. You don't have to be cross-checking right now. Holy crap. You are truly, officially done. And now, we're gonna do some stretching, because you earned it. All right, my dears. So, let's just come over to our mats. Take stance about hip width apart. Nice, tall, not slouching, okay? And let's take some deep breaths to start, just a couple. And now, let's turn our head to the side so we're looking over one shoulder and then the other. And let's go back and forth, from side to side. Not going super quickly. Not trying to wrench your head around. Just trying to look straight over each shoulder. Okay? Back to the center. Now we're gonna let the chin drop to the chest and roll ahead to the side so that one ear is pointing straight down at the shoulder. Back through the middle and to the other side. And we're gonna go back and forth. And back and forth. All right, back to the center, chin to chest. And we are going to, on an 8 count that I will call out, we are going to roll one vertebra at a time until we are folded over at the hips and our hands are touching the floor or as close to it as they can get, okay? So here we go, chin to chest, and here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Shake your head out a little bit just to make sure that you're not clenching your neck. Sway your back from side to side a little bit. This may help you get your lower back a little bit closer to your thighs. Still shaking that head out every once in a while. Okay, now I want you to take your hands, clasp them behind your back, extend them, and then let them fall down as far as they can. I'm not pulling, I'm letting gravity take control and just getting a nice stretch in my shoulders. Still letting myself sway a little bit. All right, there we go. And now lift the arms a little bit, unclasp the hands, bring them back down. And now, again on that 8 count, we're gonna squat down on 4 and straighten our legs on 4. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and up. 5, 6, 7, 8. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and up. 5, 6, 7, 8. Shake that head out again. Take your hands to the opposite elbows. This is going to add more of the pull of gravity onto your torso, okay? So it's going to intensify the stretch in your hamstrings. Breathe, sway gently. Drop those hands. Now we're going to bend the knees, and on an 8 count, we are going to roll back up to standing, one vertebra at a time. When you get to the top, just stand there, okay? Bent knees, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Stand right there. Don't adjust your hair. Don't adjust your clothes. Don't adjust your posture. Take some deep breaths. Feel the height in your spine. Feel the blood moving through your body into your limbs. One more deep breath. All right. And just shake the hands out a little bit. Shake the feet out a little bit. Ah, and you are good. Woo! Ah, what a fun class. At least I had fun. Hopefully you did too. It's always nice to have the sets with a little bit more choice. You know, for some of us it's nice because then you can go, oh, thank God that's not what it is all the time. And if that was your experience, totally, I understand. You know, a lot of times what people are looking for in fitness classes is they are looking for someone to tell them what to do. And obviously that is, for the most part, what I provide. But for some people, it can be really invigorating to have those moments where you get to take fuller control over what you're doing, and doing exercises that feel good to you, that you enjoy doing, that work areas of your body that you enjoy utilizing. And that can be really nice too. So hopefully you enjoyed that as well. Plus it makes it easier for me because I don't have to like write down specific exercises. So yes, I admit a little bit of self-interest there, but not much. I promise. It's also a good teachable moment. And you know, this is a safe space for those. So all right. Well, how are you feeling? A nice closeout to a Tuesday. Man, a fascinating start to the week. I can't believe that next week is Christmas, which is the holiday that I, have celebrated through my life. Obviously, Hanukkah is going on right now, and to anyone who is celebrating Hanukkah, happy Hanukkah. I am woefully uninformed of what other holidays take place around, the area of the winter solstice. And I'm sure that there are many that people celebrate that I don't know about. So, if you're celebrating a holiday that's not one of the really ubiquitous ones in popular culture, drop it in chat. Leave it in the YouTube comments when this VOD goes up on YouTube. Give us all an opportunity to learn a little bit more about the wonderfully varied celebrations that take place throughout the world, and throughout the calendar. But for now, I think we're good for tonight. Woo, woo, woo. Festivus, yes, which is, a Seinfeld holiday, but still, I think a really nice modern holiday. I never actually really watched Seinfeld. It was never my type of humor. But I do love the concept of Festivus. I think that was a really cool thing to come out of that show. So happy Festivus! I don't know if Festivus is on a specific day or if it's just sort of whenever you feel like celebrating it in December, but woo! All right, friends. I'd say we had a good class there, and there's plenty more to come this week. So there are 3 more classes left in our broadcast week. Tomorrow, Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Mountain Time is Jump Around, our weekly cardio class. Then Friday at 6 p.m. is Functional Home Fitness, where we do weight training using objects you can find around the house. And then Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. is the weekend kickoff, which is our awesome strength and stamina focused bodyweight class. Super fun time. I love that class. And a great way to kick off your Saturday. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All of those handles will be in my end cards, but they're all variations on Blanche Case Fitness. My YouTube channel, Blanche Case Fitness, is where I upload the VODs from these streams, and a lot of supplemental content is going to be going up there. So definitely head over there and subscribe. If you want to help support me financially in making these streams, I do have a coffee account, Blanche Case Fitness. Your donations are always very much appreciated. And if you want to help keep growing this channel, growing this community, it would be an awesome Festivus miracle if we were able to, at the very least, get to 50 followers before the end of the year. Obviously, it would be really amazing if we could make it to Twitch affiliate before the end of the year. That has, there's like one other thing that I need to do after that. So I'm not sure if we'll get there, but the more the merrier. It's a lovely little corner of the internet we've got going on here. So please follow, tell your friends, loved ones, co-workers, anybody looking for an awesome bodyweight class, class that you can do from home or from your hotel room or anywhere that has an internet connection and a mat-sized space of floor. So yeah, make sure to refill your water, get yourself hydrated back up, take a shower, have some dinner, and I will see you back here tomorrow. Mwah. Have a great night.